Welcome, everybody. It is the afternoon here at Javelina Jundred. I'm Chris Warden, joined with Andy Jones-Wilkins, and we've got a triple play here for you today. We've got three people here on the couch with us here at the Javelina Jundred, and you couldn't pick a more diverse crowd for us to start our afternoon with. We have somebody who is here for the first time, somebody who's here for the second time, and somebody who's here all of the time. We've got Antoine Beland St-Onge, correct, from Quebec. We have Joe McConaughy from Washington, and we have Susan Donnelly from Tennessee. Welcome to the show. And, of course, Andy Jones-Wilkins from all over.
Thank you, Chris. That's fantastic. And go Diamondbacks. We'll start with you, Antoine, from Quebec. It's late October here in the desert, probably going to be in the mid-80s. I could do that translation for Celsius, but you could probably do it ahead of me. What is going right in? It's going to be warm for you, right? Have you done some heat training going in and spent some time here in the desert? How are you feeling in your first go-round at Javelina about the heat?
Yeah, we got here on Tuesday, and I did some heat adaptation before. We had a pretty hot autumn. But it's not like here. It was maybe 25. I don't know it like Fahrenheit, and I did a lot of sauna before to be ready for the heat. So, but I've done a race in the hot condition before, and it went pretty good. So I hope it will go as great tomorrow, but who knows? Yeah.
And Joe, you've been in the desert a lot. You've been running this race, some other races down here. What have you done for heat prep?
I've mostly done layered clothing runs, which are always a joy.
Oh, yeah.
Shout out to anybody who loves doing that. And then I've done one or two hot baths, and then it's tricky because it's not as hot as I was. The early forecasts were like 88, and then it's been more like 80, which is a little bit of a different ball game, which is nice. Although I kind of wanted it to be more hot because it makes it a little more spicy, a little more fun.
Right on. And Susan, any heat training for you, or?
No, just didn't have time for it. But I remember how it feels. So I'm just really remembering how it feels. It's like you know what the cold pool is like before you plunge in. And so once you think about it, you're okay to plunge in. It's the same with the desert.
Susan, you literally came here from another 100-mile race last weekend.
I did.
How does somebody turn around so quickly? Obviously, you are no stranger to this. You've done over 100-milers, so this is something you're very familiar with. How often have you done back-to-backs like this, and what is your preparation for such a quick turnaround?
I've done a bunch of back-to-backs, but it hasn't been recently. I'm 60 years old now, so that the idea of doing back-to-backs at 60 was kind of unplanned. I got off this wait list and I got off the no business wait list, and I didn't look at the dates, and usually they're separated by a week or two, and this year they were not. So it was either I could bail on one or the other, or I could do both, and I just thought might as well try both.
Well, I got to be honest. I think that at this point I can speak for anybody who is familiar with this race. You shouldn't be on the wait list at all, period. You should just you should have your own express checkout lane for the Javelina Jundred registration, because frankly, it wouldn't be the Javelina Jundred without you. As we mentioned, out of 21 runnings, this is going to be your 16th.
Yeah.
This is a race that's obviously near and dear to you.
Yeah.
For somebody who like Antoine, who is here for the first time, what would you say, right off the bat? What's the first thing he should keep in mind as he's out there and it's 90, 95 degrees, even hotter in the sun?
Oh gosh, you sound like you're more prepared than I am, so I think you're going to do very well. That first loop down by the road, that part down by the road, I have a coaching client that calls it the pizza oven, and I think that's a good name for it. So just don't push that section, just get through it. That would be the one thing I would advise you if you're not already familiar with it.
Joe, you're obviously familiar with this race as well as damn near every other trail in the state of Arizona. You've obviously time at the Arizona Trail, Cocodona. What brought you back here this year? Was it strictly the Golden Ticket, or if it were not a Golden Ticket race, would you still be here?
I probably wouldn't be here, and that's partially because I had an Achilles injury for the last 10 months, maybe. So I pushed it a little early to come back here. I managed to put together a good training block to get here. But yeah, the combination of Golden Ticket, I've raced it before. Javelina is just such a party, and there are people like this that are kicking butt. And I cannot believe you're doing backs-to-backs when you're 60, by the way.
I can't either.
I'm mind blown. I'm I'll just we can just end the interview for me and keep talking to you. But no, I definitely came here with the intention of coming for a golden ticket and wanted to race. And it also is a nice time of year. It's really nice to race right before Halloween. We get to, pig out on candy and then like chill for a little bit rather than like trying to be on through a Seattle fall and winter trying to train for something else. So.
And Antoine, I'll be honest, I know nothing about you. You are our international man of mystery this year, but you're at the very top of the list. I looked at some of your results, via, Ultra Sign Up. Obviously, your race in Nicaragua and a few other 100Ks around the world. You're a very well-traveled runner, but we know nearly nothing about you because your history here is not very extensive. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what you expect out there on the course.
Yeah, so I'm from Quebec, and I'm from Shawinigan in Quebec. That's a small town. It's I've been running for 10 years now. I'm not much of a racer. I like the training process. I like to train and work hard. And so that's about me. I'm a student right now. I'm currently a full-time student in quantitative finance. So I'm training during my semester. And for what I'm waiting for to see tomorrow in the desert, it's the party. I've watched all the videos and it looks really great. I can't wait to see Jackass Junction, where it's not really an aid station, but more like a clubhouse. It looks like
Very much so.
Exactly. I'd like to dive into the format for a second. Back in the Pleistocene era when I first ran this race, it was
2007.
It was 6.5 loops starting up at the Pemberton Trail parking lot, washing machine style, which was wonderful. Saw runners a lot. It's probably a smart move. They don't do that anymore. But ever since then, now we're down to 5 loops, 22 plus for the first one, and then 19 and change for the other 4. It does take a certain mental aptitude, the multiple loop courses. I mean, I've done Rocky and Umstead and Javelina, but you're going by your car every 20 miles. You're going by your friends. You're going by all your stuff. If it's chilly at night, you're going by sort of warm heaters. Is there an adaptation? We'll start with you, Susan. An adaptation to the loop course, a multiple loop course versus a point-to-point or a one big loop, or one of the more traditional kind of standard 100-milers we have here in the United States.
Yeah, I actually have a couple of coaching clients here, so we've talked about this, so it's a good subject. All the loops are easy, except really number 4 is the most challenging because you've got 1 and 2 are kind of easy to knock out. 3 is the halfway loop, yay. 5 is obviously on the way to the finish, and 4 is just kind of like, why am I out here?
And in most cases, those runners are out in the middle of the night during that 4th loop.
Yeah, and you've got a lot of 100Kers finishing. You've got a lot of 100-milers dropping, so the course seems emptier. That one's a tough loop, so that one's the one to be prepared for. And what I would advise is, have in your mind how you want to be thinking about each loop before you go to the race, before you start, so that you're prepared, so you don't get out there and your mind's just in control. You want to be in control of your mind before you get out there.
Yeah. Joe, how about you with the multiple loops? I mean, you're a big long distance guy, lots of point-to-points, long trails, things like that. This is a little different for you.
Yeah, I kind of love it because it makes it very straightforward. It's like the crewing aspect, and I always feel super bad for my crew because it's like, you're going to have to drive here and you drive there, and these people aren't going to have the right stuff when you get there. So I really need, so it's a convoluted process where it allows your crew to chill out and have a good time, which I always worry about my crew's experience when I'm racing. To me, the better experience my crew has, that kind of usually the better experience I have. So to me, the fact that the crew gets to chill and hang out makes it really easy, and you can be super dialed with having, the coolers and everything that you need. The thing that sticks in my memory was last year. I have this running club in Seattle. Everybody from Seattle is coming from Seattle weather. And there are multiple people in my running club who were like, oh, sub 24-hour finish. And I came through and finished, and I think I finished around 10 or 11 p.m. And most of those guys were on 3 laps or 4 laps. And they looked red, and this was at night, and red face, sitting there in a chair, and I was like, oh God, thank God I'm done. It makes it my job so much easier, because they have to go out for 1 or 2 more loops after being in the night, experiencing that heat, and knowing that, you're going to walk most of that loop, which is pretty demoralizing.
Right.
Humbling is the right word.
Before I
yeah.
move to Antoine, I want to mention one more thing. You mentioned the crews. You know, sometimes you have to twist arms to get crews to come to races. You know, big point to points. People
Not here.
People are like, oh yes, sign me up. I'll come to Javelina. Do we have to do anything? No, you just sit there, you know, in the desert for 20 hours under a nice tent and
Stay sober. That's really it.
stay sober. That's it.
That's a challenge.
It is a challenge. It
Guilty.
is a fantastic event to crew. How about you with the multiple loops? What do you think about that, sort of specifically mentally?
Yeah, but for me, the first and second loop will be different, so I see them as new. The third one, it's the middle loop, so it's going to be that part. And the fourth loop, you're picking up a pacer, but when you're training, it's often like when you're doing intervals, the last before the last one, the one before the last
Yeah.
is often the hardest, but with a pacer, it will be different. And for the final loop, you're going home, so it's supposed to be easy, but we'll see when we be there.
You know, and that's very true here because in my experience at this race and in 100 milers in general, like maybe as a first timer or as an inexperienced person, you're thinking, okay, well, I need somebody to push me through those last 20 miles. No, you're smelling the barn at that point. You know, like for this race, especially Loop 4, as you said, Susan, crucial to have a pacer that knows how to push you when it's dark. You know, like miles 50 to 75, miles 60 to 80, that's going to be tougher for most people because once you get to 80, you can visualize, like, as silly as it sounds, I have less than a marathon to go. You know, I can wrap my head around that, and if I can wrap my head around it, my body can do it. So that's one of the things that I think is so crucial for people to understand. And I told people in our group page for this race, if you have one match to burn in terms of a pacer, burn them on Loop 4 rather than Loop 5. Because it stinks to go out by yourself, but at the same time, you've only got 20 miles to go. Antoine, of course, you posted to the Facebook page looking for a pacer, and I have to admit, I was a little bit concerned whether we'd be able to find you one or two runners, because you're talking sub 14-hour finish. That's a tall order for us here. I mean, we have runners who love running this race and being a part of it. We only have a select few who are able to actually keep up that kind of pace for 20 miles. Were you able to find somebody, and how have you ever had a pacer you have no familiarity with before, and are you looking forward to it?
Yeah, I managed to find someone who's from the area. He accepted, but only from one loop. I've never used a pacer that I didn't knew before, but we'll have 3 hours to talk and know each other. So
Get to know
we'll
somebody.
have a nice time, and I guess he will be able to push me.
And don't have any hesitation to drop them if they can't hang if you're feeling it. Like, don't let that, you know. Wait, who is your pacer? Do you know the name offhand?
Travis Swaim.
Oh, you're good. Travis Swaim is fast.
Yeah,
He's
you'll be
very
fine.
fast. Yeah,
You'll be
you're set.
fine. Okay.
Yeah, Travis used to be on the Air Viper racing team.
Okay.
So he can cover a lot of ground very quickly. So you're set. Perfect. Joe and Susan, you're both running this race, and you're also coaching this race as well, because you've each got several runners in this race. Is there a way that you approach that differently, or is it basically like, listen, I've told you all I can, or have there been times where you're passing a runner or they're passing you and they kind of, try to sit under the tree of information for a minute? How does that work for you as a coach when you're running a race?
Okay. Well, the funny one is that I'm coaching two individuals who are capable of golden tickets, which is super fun. So we're taking this cross-country style, and we'll probably work together for part of it, which I have no idea how that'll actually work out because I just have no idea. But at the very least, it's welcoming and encouraging, and it's their first 100 milers for both of them. So I think for them, it's like, oh, you're a vet. I know what you're doing. We're not going to go out too hard. You know, you have this experience. We'll all work together as a team. For me, I'm like stoked about that. You know, they're like 23 and 27. So it's like funny.
They're kids.
I know, right? Young kids these days. So
You're not running a race. You're doing daycare.
Exactly, yeah. So that's really cool. And then I have 3 other coaching clients who are also racing. But I think the most important aspect of like a coaching relationship is that like personal, like I would describe it as like a relaxed environment where you can ask questions and just kind of glean information, right? Like it's really important to go through your race strategy, but if you've worked with someone through one race, you kind of have that down to a certain extent. But some of the less tangible kind of takeaways are from, I think, just being around someone and seeing how they how they work themselves. So I don't know how well that will transfer to everybody, but hopefully everybody, knock on wood, I think everybody's in a good spot, and I'm excited for everybody who's racing. So.
Yeah, I would echo that. It's like I want my clients here in the race to finish their own race under their own power, not feel like they finished because I was here to help them. So that's very important to us. And at the same time, what you said is exactly true. It's like there's the opportunity for them. If we're running together, if we end up together, I have my own race to do here too. And they may be faster than I am today. So at the same time, if we're running together, there's a lot of stuff that I think of on the course, like, oh, you need to know this. What about this? Like, and just talking and seeing how you approach the miles can sometimes be really helpful to them. So there is that aspect of it too. I love being able to run with clients. I hope that works out, but I think they're going to have really good races.
Good. Well, Joe, actually, I want to give a shout out to one of your clients who happens to be a pretty good friend of ours, Rob Martin.
Oh yeah,
You know, Rob is,
all-star.
you know, yeah, I spent probably about 24 miles with him at Mogi on Monster, and so you know he's really stoked about this. He's been very excited, spoken very highly of your coaching and your guidance in getting ready for this race, and I think he's ready. So you know, shout out to Rob out there, one of our local runners here.
Rock on, Rob.
Yeah, he's going to be
I
great.
get the occasional text from Rob. It says, training plan says 2-hour hike. Want to come with me, AJW? I love it. I love it. So I want to talk a little bit more like about listeners and viewers of these things love gear and geeking out on that stuff. This is an interesting race, both in terms of shoe selection, not super technical, in terms of, you know, clothes, vest or handhelds, bottles, how many bottles. I mean, I would do this straight up handhelds, just personally, but I'd be curious. I know everyone wants to know. So shoes, vest, handhelds, clothes. What's your plan? We'll start with you.
Are you talking brands?
No. Well, brands, but
Or
also type.
format.
Like, is it a
Okay.
road shoe, a trail
Got
shoe,
it.
heavy lug, you know, so forth.
Road shoe,
There we
Ultra.
go.
You know, I'm in Ultras right now.
A Tauren?
No, actually, road shoe Olympus.
Olympus, okay.
Okay, so I just grabbed my road shoes. I just used trail shoes last weekend, so it's road shoes this weekend. Handheld bottle, always have.
One or two?
One, always have.
Little pack with stuff in it or
Handheld.
pockets or
Pack, just my purse on my back.
with like your,
basically.
with food and
Lip
things like
stuff,
that.
food, maybe. I always carry an emergency poncho. It's just a habit. You know, a couple little things, doodads. And that's basically it. Sunglasses, the rest is gaiters. Absolutely. Out
Gators
here.
is always a very interesting thing. Like when I ran this
Absolutely.
race, I did not wear gaiters, but a lot of people, you know, swear by them out here. I guess it's just a personal
Dust.
preference.
Yeah.
Do you have
Dust and
a
sand.
possible long sleeve layer for, you know,
Oh,
the
yeah.
temperature can go 80 to 50 like that?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
throw that in there?
Yeah, I've got 2 drop bags. I don't have a crew, so I have 2 drop bags, and I don't anticipate getting in either of them, but they're there if I need them.
Yeah. Joe?
Yeah.
Go from
Here we go.
foot
up.
Start with foot up.
I'll be wearing the Brooks Divide, which is like a very minimal. It's basically like a road shoe that has some a little more cushioning and kind of some basic lugs. So it's a lighter shoe, which I always personally prefer that on almost any course anyway. To me, like shorts with the interior. I just met someone who didn't know that there was a difference between underwear liner and like boxer brief liner on shorts, which I was like, dude, you got it.
You haven't lived.
It's so much more comfortable. So that's important. Kind of normal tee, arm sleeves. I always wear arm sleeves, and then hat, sunglasses, and then I'm a vest guy. So I'll have a vest with two soft flasks that I'll go out with.
No
And-
bladder.
No
Just
bladder,
soft-
yeah. Two soft flasks up front, and then I probably will also have like a dedicated electrolyte small soft flask as well.
Antoine, how about you? What gear is our Quebecois bringing down?
Yeah, for the shoes, I'm going with road running shoe, the St-Onge Endorphin without the carbon plate, the middle one, and with shorts, white t-shirts, sleeves too. My first time.
You'll want to stuff a lot of ice in those sleeves.
Yeah, a lot of eyes. And for the a belt with handheld, no vest with the heat. I think it would be easier that way.
What idiot would bring a vest?
So, Antoine, you're shooting for a golden ticket here. Do you? Are you? I mean, if you're saying 14 hours, you're in the discussion.
Yeah, we'll try, but who knows who will be tomorrow. So, but I would love to have a golden ticket like everybody who's racing, I think. So, yeah, but I will try.
For sure.
Yeah.
And Susan, okay, what's your tally right now? What's your count at as far as 100 milers?
Total overall,
Yeah.
if I finish this one, it'll be 145.
So you've done up to, as of last weekend, 144 100
Correct.
milers. For those out there who are wanting to get even remotely close to that number, how do they keep their body, in one piece long enough to do that many races over the years?
That's I would say that's a coaching question, but to like not answer you. Really, it's just taking care of your body and fitting it into your life.
Yeah, I was
mean,
looking
you
more of a
can't-
macro and
You can't just you can do ultra running as a lifestyle full on for a while, but most of us can't. Most of us have kids or a job or parents or whatever other things. So you've got to be able to fit it into your life overall. And you've got to be able to, sometimes it's second priority, sometimes it's not first priority. So you've got to be able to balance your priorities and really take care of your body and take care of maintenance of your body too, the whole time. Just be willing to work yourself out of injuries like Achilles injuries and things like that. Have patience with your body and not put, I see this a lot in runners, we put a lot of responsibility for the race on our bodies. And this is what I coach, the mindset strategy side. That has to go along with it. You can't just be blaming your body and thinking of your body as a machine that's either not working or working. You have to really take care of it.
Yeah, you give a very surface level taste of that for those of us that follow you on social media. You kind of, broach the subject of almost like giving people questions to ask themselves a lot of the time. At least that's what I perceive when you post some of your coaching advice. Joe, in your case, it sounds like you're coming back from injury, but you're going to be a very popular pick for a golden ticket contender this year. I mean, you mentioned coming back from injury. Is a golden ticket in the cards for you today this weekend?
We'll see. That's the question.
Nobody's quite had as many close calls as you.
Yeah.
Maybe close
Go
calls
ahead
or
and
just
look it up out there. How many Joe's just missed?
yeah. You've had 15 finishes. I'm 0 for 7 on golden tickets. So that could be.
Well,
it's okay, though.
and so you've got a top 10 finish here. You've got 2 top 10 finishes here. We'll have to see if you can join them this weekend with a top 10 finish here at Javelina. We can't have you back on the couch next year with these two if you don't make it. And you know what? While you're at it, pick up some coaching clients too, because you got to join that whole aspect too. Is that something you're looking at doing in the future? Maybe doing some coaching, or do you coach? Or
I'm not coaching and I'm not really interested.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
We'll have to pair you up with somebody new next time you come to the Javelina 100 couch then. So. But I thank you very much, everybody, for coming on. Have a great race this weekend. Stay cool out there because you can already tell by the expo, it's already getting warm out there. And, we joked and we talked about, oh, it's not that bad. It's only 85. Well, that's a temperature reading in the shade. And we all know from being out here, even just this afternoon, how quick that's going to get to be something that you're going to have to contend with out there. So, best of luck for the three of you, and have a great weekend.
Thanks for having us on.
Thank you.
Have a great race. All right.
Appreciate it.